Hello and welcome. My name is Natalie Sanchez and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the Interim Education Program Coordinator with the Vincent Price Art Museum. I would like to acknowledge and thank East Los Angeles College, Department of Art, Museum Studies Certificate Program, Faculty and Advisory Committee, Vincent Price Art Museum Foundation, and the VPAM team, as well as the Alice L. Walton Foundation, for whose generous support helped make today's event possible. Thank you for joining us for our first Museum Voices event, talking about arts education, museum education, with our special guest speaker, Maria Galicia. Maria Galicia was born in Morelos, Mexico, and raised in Los Angeles. She is an artist, arts educator, and museum educator. She has exhibited her multimedia artwork, both locally and nationally, as well as worked in arts organizations, including the Heart of Los Angeles, or HOLA. In 2011, Maria co-founded Art Division, a non-profit arts organization dedicated to training and supporting underserved youth who are committed to studying the visual arts. Currently, she serves as the Education and Programs Coordinator at the USC Fisher Museum of Art. Without further ado, I am honored to present our special guest speaker today, Maria Galicia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Natalie, for inviting me and everyone joining us today. I want to thank Francisco and the Vincent Price Museum as well for helping this program, make this program possible. I want to acknowledge that I am currently in Los Angeles, and it's the home of the Tongva Nation. I want to pay respect to the Tongva people and all Indigenous people, past, present, and future. If you are interested in finding out which Indigenous land you're living on, you can visit the native-land.ca website, and you can find out more there. Again, my name is Maria Galicia. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. It's an honor to be the first to launch this museum series, Voices series. When I first found out that ELAC was going to have their own museum certificate program, I was really excited. This is definitely a program that universities, community colleges need, and it's something that I wish I had joined before. And so I really hope that you guys take advantage of this program. You guys are helping shape this program, and it's for the next generation. So I really hope you benefit from this. I will be talking about my art journey and how I got to Fisher and what I do there. And I hope this will be helpful for you guys. Before I begin with my journey, I do want to emphasize that my journey is completely different from the traditional ones that people normally take. And for many years, I thought that there was only one way to get to your, to your career path. And so it took me a while to realize that not everybody's going to be the same. Your route is going to be different. There are going to be some challenges. And so just, remember to embrace that journey, and everybody's different. There's not a right or wrong way. So my journey to get in the field really found me. I didn't know what I wanted to do for a really long time. And so we could go to the next slide. So my parents migrated to the United States when I was really young. I grew up in Mexico, and we moved to Los Angeles. We started from scratch. My parents did not know a word of English. And we grew up, we lived in Koreatown. Koreatown is not what it is now. It's been gentrified, but this is where I grew up. And I attended LAUSD schools from elementary through high school. I went to Berendo School and middle school, for those of you guys know. And I was bused in the Valley. I went to high school in El Camino High School. And that, from that experience, I really saw how different the schools were based on where you lived. And so that was a big experience, that I saw how unequal the education system was. I enjoyed art throughout my, at a young age. I just didn't know that this is something that I wanted to pursue. I didn't know that there was art, like a career, all these possibilities in the career in arts. And, like many immigrant parents or parents, they want their kids to be doctors, lawyers, teachers, but it's hardly a time where a parent wants you to be something related to art in a field of that. So that was a little bit hard for me too, so I bring up about my experiences about my family, where I grew up, because this is something that's really important to me and it's valuable for me. And a lot of the work that I do is based on that. And so you're going to see that, all of that is based on all that. I also didn't grow up going to museums. So that was something, I went to the school museums that, I went to the Natural History Museum, the Science Center, because of school field trips. But beyond that, I did not grow up going to museums. It took me a while to attend that. And so that was something different too, that really helped me work where I am and build something. I think we could go to the next slide. And so all of that really shaped me to where I am today. This is kind of the journey that I feel, this is my art journey, and it's a very edited version of it. It doesn't include, life and your personal stuff there, but I will be talking about those marks that really helped me shape where I am today. My art, I went to, right after high school, I attended a community college. I went to SMC, Santa Monica Community College. I was the first to graduate high school in my family. I was the first to attend college in my family. So the first years was really hard. I was working full time. I needed, to work to pay my tuitions, pay for my books, expenses. So it was a challenge for me. I went in with the idea that I wanted to be a therapist. So I took psychology, and I realized that wasn't for me. There was something missing. And when you go to community college, and many of you guys probably could relate to that, it's really hard to meet with your counselor and know what career path you want to do and what kind of classes to take. And you get a sheet of paper of, I think it's called the Agetsi. And at the time when I was at community college, you had to take also this replacement test. And I think that they took that out. But I saw too that many of my friends were struggling with that, because if you score low in that replacement test, you had to take additional classes. And community college really was a struggle where it's not going to take 2 years. Sometimes it's going to take more years. And so for me, that was it felt like an impossible goal. It felt like 2 years was going to be a lot. And so I was really confused. I was lost, and I didn't know what I wanted to study. And so I dropped out. I wasn't doing well. So I wanted to return back when I knew what was my plan. And so I took a couple of years out. And I did attend community college and took classes after night classes. And I took classes that I thought would be good for me. I took a lot of computer classes, because I knew that was going to be helpful either way. And whatever path I take, that was going to be useful. So I took a lot of that. And I started working full time. We could go to the next slide. And so I started working at Heart of Los Angeles. And there, Heart of Los Angeles is a nonprofit organization located in the MacArthur Park area. It's an after-school program that offers arts, sports, music, science, homework with your assistance with your homework. And it's for ages 7 and 18. So it's elementary through high school. And I worked there first as a receptionist. I started there as a receptionist, and then I worked my way up as the arts coordinator. I helped manage their art department. And when I started there, the art department was really small. And so I worked there with artists, and I think his title was Artistic Director, Dan McClary. And that's where I met Dan McClary. And actually, Dan McClary just became my mentor. He really helped me and guided me into my career path. And I learned so much from him. And he really helped me. So you're going to hear a little bit more about him throughout the talk. But at HOLA, the art department, we offered ceramics, drawing, paintings, printmaking. You're going to see there, one of the images there on the bottom right, it's the summer camp we had. there at HOLA, I also started this program called Taller de Madres. And while I was the receptionist, I saw a lot of the parents hang out in the, they were just hanging out in the lobby. And I started to offer art classes to them while they waited for the kids. And so that really built a great experience, because the parents started to really value art. And it was a way where you could see some of the kids there working with them. We had there would be times where tables were turned and the kids were waiting for them to finish further projects. And it was really neat, because some of the kids would really help them with their artwork. And so it was a nice way to really bond and get to know them, and really know, offer resources and help them. Through that really initiated the program of really getting the parents involved. And so that, that really helped out. And from those, from that, and at HOLA, I realized that this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in a small organization, community-based organization, and art. I saw that art can make a difference, and it was important. And so that was one of the things that I knew, that this is what I wanted to do as I move forward. We could go to the next one, yeah. So aside from that, I also managed an art gallery. We started an art gallery with Dan McCleary, and we created theme shows. And we invited well-established artists to be part of these shows. And we wanted this so students could show along with these professional artists and really have the opportunity to interact with them. And so that was a great experience. And you're gonna see here, this is one of the announcements, one of the shows that we had, which is a Lucha Libre theme show. And you see there's some luchadores there talking to some of the students, and you could see some of the artwork in the back end. And then in the bottom is actually a Day of the Dead show that we had. And we have in the far end, you can see there clearly, but it's a Day of the Dead altar. And a lot of the stuff, like the papel picado, the parents created. So in these workshops that I did with Taller de Madres, the parents learned how to create this. Yes, I think there's a chat that says Sergio Terran. And so, yes, I learned a lot to really, I met a lot of well-established artists there. These shows were really great. The families would come in, the kids would, some of the artwork will sell. And so the kids, that really helped the kids really pursue and continue to create work. And that was like the best experience for me. And so at art division, and so at HOLA, because HOLA focuses on elementary through high school, there were a lot of talented students. A lot of them were in high school. And when they graduated, they either left the program, they went to college, and then Dan was working at HOLA way before me. And so what he experienced was that he would see a lot of the students that at HOLA would go to college, and then he would find out that they dropped out. They stopped creating their own work, or they just started working at a fast food restaurant, a Target or something. And so they just lost it. And so that hit him really hard. And so when I was working at HOLA, we tried to really incorporate them and include them. Like, you could still stay, he really tried to get him involved in the art world. We would go to museums, visit galleries, visit studios, artist studios, and really get them, involved there. And so because HOLA was for 7 to 18 years old, from high school, we were getting off mission. And so Dan McCleary came up with the idea of starting his own organization. And he invited me to be part of that. And I did. I joined him to start art division. The first year that we started, I was working full-time at HOLA, and then I would volunteer afterwards. I just couldn't afford to leave HOLA and volunteer at art division. And so the first year, it was all volunteer, but it was, I would say it was the greatest thing, because it was a lot of us meeting at coffee shops, kind of figuring out what is it that we wanted to create, and so working at HOLA, I knew what was the need. We both knew and knew what was needed, and it was definitely the program that we needed to create. We started a program that it did not exist. And it really allowed us to create something that we wanted to do. So OLA really helped me. I learned a lot from OLA. I learned, and the experiences there, I learned how to, run a department. I learned how to run a programs. I learned about budgeting, fundraising, dealing with board members, dealing with possible donors. I knew what they were looking for. And so that really prepared me to start Art Division. And so in 2010, that's when we started Art Division. And 2011 was when we were officially a nonprofit. And so I would have to, so that's what we did. And we started right away. And we, thankfully for this LA Housing Partnership, which is another nonprofit that offers affordable housing in Los Angeles, they gave us a free space. And it was in the senior center, but that was okay. It was a free space. That's one thing, less thing that we had to think about, paying rent. And so we started off with art history, offering art history and drawing. Dan brought in a friend of his to teach art history, and he started teaching life drawing. And those two were like the least expensive, didn't really require any expenses. So that was really good for us to start. And then we later on started incorporating printmaking, just because that was a way that we could really fundraise and sell artwork and start Art Division there. Because we were the first that existed, and many of the students that graduated from OLA or outgrew OLA, we invited them to join Art Division. And I think we only invited one student. From there, the word really spread out. And we didn't have a problem, an issue of like recruiting. They would just hear and they, just join Art Division. And so that was really great. And so working at OLA, it really helped me what was, I knew what I was needed and what we wanted to include at Art Division. And so Art Division is also located in MacArthur Park. It's, Natalie mentioned the mission, and the mission is to training, supporting underserved youth who are committed in studying the visual arts and 18 to 26. And a lot of our students are either, at the time when we started, there were students that didn't graduate from high school. So we helped them graduate from high school. A lot of them were working full time, and we didn't want to push students to attend college. We knew that it was going to take a time, and a lot of our students are working full time as well, and they join the program when they can after school. And so I think I want to start the video so you guys kind of get an idea what is Art Division, and then I'll talk a little bit more about that.
Making art can change your life.
So that is art division. And that video is just the first 5 years. We're actually celebrating this year our 10th anniversary. And so that's just, it's just never did I think that we were gonna be 10 years. We have, as you saw in some of the videos, we have an extensive art library. Dan really wanted to make, that was his goal of having an art library there that's accessible to the students. And we have, I think around 10,000 art books. So we're ranging from individual artists to world art, to art theory, to art history, architecture, graphic designs, fashion design, photography, anything. And it keeps growing. And so that's accessible to the students. We have a painting studio, a drawing studio, a printmaking studio, a gallery space, and a computer lab. We also have a kitchen. We wanted to create a kitchen that the students have access to, that we have food all the time. They're accessible for the students, because our students do work full time or going to school, and or they come, in between those classes when they have space time, they come in. So we wanted them to have the opportunity to, grab a snack if they needed to in between classes. And so we wanted to do that. All of our spaces are accessible to our students. They, a lot of our students don't have a space to create their work, so they have the studio accessible to them. The lab, if there's photographers, they could use the lab to really edit their photographs, edit their videos. The library is accessible for them to do if they want to do study. That was one of the things too. So, so that was something that we knew that was a need, and we wanted to include at Art Division. We also have a college counselor. We knew that if that was needed, our college counselors at community college, they're booked, and it's hard sometimes to even have a meeting with them, but just having access to a college counselor was very helpful to really help them transfer easily, help them, navigate college, help them to apply for, to transfer. So they have access to that. We have incredible art instructors who help them build their portfolio. And so we do that. We also help the students, the pictures that you see there are some gallery shows that we've had. We try to expose them to different exhibitions too, and they sell their work too. Some of the students are represented by Corazon Gallery now. We do a lot of outreach too, where we teach. And we teach at elementary school locally, and we realized that they weren't offering art classes to elementary school teachers. So we train our students to teach to them. And so they do that. And I think they teach around 100 students. And so that's a great way for them to get some experience and learn if they want to be teachers. All of our programs are free. And through the program, we've had some students who graduated from UCLA, USC, San Diego, Riverside. And we also hope for them to apply for summer, art retreats. And so that is Art Division. And so, and then Dan is the one in, so this, now we're gonna, I was gonna point out, Dan is the guy, the white guy in the middle. And so now I wanna talk about Fisher and how I got there. I am currently the education and programs coordinator. The museum is located at USC, at the campus of USC, and we're right on Exposition Park. We're actually one of the first museums that was established in Los Angeles, and it was founded in 1939 by Elizabeth Home Fisher. And we hold around 1,800 artworks, and we're ranging from 19th century to old masters to contemporary. We have landscapes from Thomas Cole to Winslow Homer, Corot, and Thomas Cole, with Paul Rubens, Andy Warhol, Francisco Toledo. We have a large collection of Carlos Almaraz and many more works. I guess one of the things, maybe you're asking, like, why did I leave Art Division, or why did I, move to USC Fisher? And I would say that was the hardest decision for me to leave Art Division. I love Art Division, But I took this position to work at Fisher as their arts coordinator because I needed it to prove myself that I could do this. I think I was working at art division 7 years, and my only experience was HOLA and art division, and I needed to build my resume. And I thought that working at Fisher was going to do that. And also just you don't see a lot of people that look like me in the art world, or specifically in the museum. So that was one of the big things too, that I wanted to change that. So I started working at Fisher in 2017, and I became the education and programs coordinator. And at Fisher, I run the education and programs department. I do research on exhibitions, on artists. I develop and implement programmings, all ranges, audiences. I do a lot of outreach. I lead tours. I collaborate with USC schools, organizations. And, art division really prepared me for this new role. And so here is, and you see in this picture is Graciela Iturbide. That's one of the exciting things. I had the opportunity to meet with her and work with her. The other image is when I first started working at Fisher, we took over the galleries and created these for a week long. We started offering free programming there for the public. So that's one of the life drawing classes. And one of the benefits of having Fisher at a university is you have access to all these resources. So I got Roski instructors involved in teaching these classes to the public. I think we could go to the next one. Yeah, so I wanted to include some of the programs that I've worked on that I'm really proud of. And so when I first started working at Fisher, Chutesca Martinez at the forefront of climate change was actually the first program that I started from beginning to end. And at the time we were exhibiting the works of Justin Guerrilla, who photographed large scales of melting glaciers. And so with that, I really wanted to bring Chutesca, and Chutesca is an indigenous climate activist and a hip hop artist and an author. And so we did a concert. I think we had around close to 500 people attend the program. And it was a great way to really get people in, see the museum, see the exhibition for the first time, people that normally wouldn't. And so that I really was, a lot of the students at USC attended this event, and it was a great experience. The other program that concentration camps from Auschwitz to the United States, that actually what happened was when we were exhibiting works from David Casson, who does these incredible realistic portraits of Holocaust survivors. And while we were prepping for that exhibition, that's when AOC brought in this company. She tweeted, I think this, where she compared the immigration detention centers as concentration camps. And there was this whole debate that people were upset that she did that. And so I did a program based on that. And so I invited a Jewish history professor and expert to talk about the concentration camps during the Holocaust. I invited an expert on the Japanese American camps, to talk about the camps, here in the United States. And I brought in an attorney to talk about the conditions that were happening with detention centers in California. And so from there, it was a great experience to really, it was a great program. We had, I think, around 50 people come in, and it was a great way to really talk about that and really see and understand like the term concentration camp and see why AOC made that comment. The other one was the Fro Fest, Film Reflecting Ourselves, which is now an annual event that we host at the museum. And it's where we recognize Black writers, producers, directors, and actors, and we screen their films. And we have around 100 people that come in for that program. And that's, we have students that come in that normally wouldn't come into the museum. And it's an evening event with music, art, and the films, and it's a great way, and it's good because one of the things that when I started working, and I think this is something that I realized that a lot of university college museum struggle is getting students to come in, and this really allowed us to do that. And so after this event, there's a lot of students that come back, and so that was one of the goals. And then the other one is my most recent project that I worked, and this was during the quarantine. And I partner with art division and a USC student, Jose Sanchez from USC Roski, and we created this zine. And this was, COVID really impacted a lot of people of color, and I wanted to do something, and so this came up with the idea of creating these zines. And what we did was we had with our division students, we talk about COVID, how has it affected you? Why do people don't think that COVID really exists? And so from those conversations, we knew what was essential to include in the zine. So we added information about the zine, transmission, ways to protect yourself, information about the vaccine, resources, and they were all in Spanish and English. We also did on Wilshire and MacArthur. There's, I think, 3 bus shelters where we also included some parts of the zine. And so that really helped us to really reach out to the community and help them. Thankfully, it looks like everything's under control. So, I'm excited that, things are opening up and things are, and, it's, and so so that is what I do at Fisher. I also included, I am also, like Maddie mentioned, I also make work. This is some of my photographs. And when I have time, I also produce my own work. I did leave art division, but I also became the part of the board. And so that's really something that I'm still involved at art division all the time. And that's something that I'm excited about. And I think that that's a great balance for me to be involved and help my community, but also work at Fisher. So you could see the board. There you go, that's us. And so that's my talk. And, I would want you to take out of this is really take any opportunity comes your way. Don't be afraid of taking risk. I know that taking risk can be challenging at times, and you can't afford it, and that's okay. Just don't let fear really stop you to pursuing your goals. Sometimes it takes longer than sometimes some people it's faster, and some people take longer, and that's okay. Just don't lose that goal. And experiences are very valuable. It's important to really build your resume, build those experiences, because that's really going to help you in your career. Working at Fisher the first year was difficult. Like any new job, it takes a while to really adjust to this new role. But and I don't have a museum background, and so, but I did read a lot. The first year was me really reading a lot. Researching what other museums are doing. I attended AAM, that really helped me to see what was going on in the museum world. I attended I signed up for the Museum Educators of Southern California, which also helped me to see what was going on, things that I needed to do. And I also joined the Museum Leadership Institute. That also was a great help for me. So yeah, that's me.
Maria, thank you so much for sharing about your life and your career journey. That was phenomenal. Thank you. At this time, we're gonna pause the recording and open it up to questions. So if anybody does have any questions,